Welcome to the Exodus Companies podcast. My name is Jared. I'm the CEO and founder of the Exodus Companies. This is a movement from culture to build community. In my hand here, I have what are called precious metals. And there's a reason that I'm holding them today, because there's a lesson that I want to teach you guys, or at least brush over very quickly on this particular podcast. When I think about the precious metals and I think about how people value things, the intrinsic value of certain items, it reminds me of a story from early on in my business career. 2020 was a year of a lot of pain for a lot of people, and a lot of you can remember what went down during that 2020 season, and honestly what has been going down ever since. But 2020 marked a pivotal moment for me as a business owner. It marked a time where I had to essentially adapt or die. I had to figure out a solution for a problem, or potentially risk growing my business, or potentially lose it all. And it's a story that I haven't told a lot of people, but it's one that I know that if you are a business owner, no matter what phase of business you are in, you know this story. You have had a similar story in some capacity to what I'm about to describe to you. 2020, when that all kicked off and we started hearing the words shutdowns and closures and non-essential businesses, we had about 3 weeks of no sales. And I just want you to think about that for a second. I'm a young business owner, I've got a family and kids, and we had a period of about 3 weeks where nobody ordered anything. And you think about, what do you do in that situation? What is your next move? When people are scared to death, people are concerned about what is going on around them, people are so terrified that they are just hoarding household supplies, and they're not even thinking about the training aspect of firearms ownership or survival. The only thing that they care about in that moment is feeding their family. And I understand that because I lived through that exact same experience. I felt those same fears and the struggles and all of the same stuff you guys saw. But what do you do as a business? Well, one thing that I'll say right from the beginning that we did really well at TA Targets is free value exchange. And what I mean by that is we provide you guys content, just like I'm doing right here on this podcast, for free. We don't charge you anything for it. We have a YouTube channel, actually multiple YouTube channels, where we do this content for $0, and 9 times out of 10, I ask nothing from you guys. I say thank you, please subscribe, pay it forward, because that's the most important thing that you could do for us and our business to spread the word and help us to continue to grow and take care of our team. It's to spread the word, to teach people about what we're doing. That's called paying it forward. 9 times out of 10, that's the ask that I put in front of you. We don't do a lot of sales pitches. We don't do a lot of, hey, here's our product, go buy it. And it's because I believe that if I offer you enough value and I teach you and I can help train you, and maybe it's not just me, maybe it's a guest that I bring onto the content, if they provide you value, I know that in our world, in our freedom, as we still have some of it, you guys pay it forward and you also support us. It is just how it has been since the beginning of our business. So the one good thing that we did right off the beginning, right off the bat, was free value exchange. And so if you're a business owner listening to this podcast episode is essentially twofold. I want to teach you guys a couple tips and tricks of what I did in 2020 and what we're going to do going forward, because I see the writing on the wall with our economy and what our government is intentionally doing right this moment. But this podcast isn't just about business owners. And it's not just about regular people who are out and about in their daily lives. This is a podcast where I think all of us can walk away with a little bit of information that maybe we hadn't thought of before, and then I'll explain why I'm holding some precious metals in my hands, because it is very applicable. So the question in your head might be right now, okay, Jared, cool, so you had no sales for 3 weeks. What did you do? Well, let's put on our business owner cap here and say, real quick, what was the problem? Well, 2020, the biggest problem was my product required ammunition. If you can't buy ammunition, or the ammunition supply is very much depleted, the likelihood of someone going out and buying a steel target from my company, TA Targets, goes down to about 0. And in fact, it went down to 0 for multiple weeks, which was terrifying. If you don't have ammo, my product becomes very difficult to justify purchasing. And if you know you can't buy more ammunition, a lot of people got really scared about using the ammunition that they had in their stockpile. And I would say that an average person probably only has 1,000 to 2,000 rounds of ammo or less. They might have a concealed carry pistol with a couple magazines full of defensive ammo, and that's it. So when we're talking about my product, I was at a severe disadvantage in that moment. And I had a choice. We all have a choice. We always have a choice when we get faced with a struggle or stress or a bad situation. I could definitely have chosen to just completely throw my hat in and be like, oh man, I'm a victim of this and I have to just suck it up and it is what it is. There's nothing that I could do. I could have had a pity party for the next 6 months. And to be honest, I probably would have had a bad situation with my business, or at least it wouldn't have grown. But we doubled that year. And there's a couple reasons why. So as I was thinking about how I can solve my sales situation in my business, I took one step backwards. And I started analyzing things in this particular lens. I said to myself, what problem can we fix? And obviously I just described that there was no ammunition to be had. So naturally our brains went right to, could we purchase ammunition in mass quantity so that we could sell ammunition along with our target systems, and then people can still buy our target systems. We're giving them extra value because now we have ammunition that they can purchase from us. They could buy different quantities of ammunition. But could I do it in a way that was very aggressive pricing? And so what I decided to do was lose money on the ammunition. And I put a video out on YouTube, and I know a lot of people thought that I was nuts. I put a video out saying, essentially, we have ammunition. I had tried to sell it on its own at current market prices because I was thinking, you know what, I can just sell the ammo. I can make a couple bucks in the ammo and maybe continue to do payroll and pay our team and do all the stuff that's important. But it didn't work out the way that I had thought. So I did an update YouTube video where I said, I'm going to sell ammunition with these target systems and I'm going to lose money. And I'll explain what I did. So what I did is I packaged ammunition with my steel targets. I sold the ammunition in that package lower than what it cost me to purchase it. I know that sounds nuts. If I paid 50 cents a round for it, I sold it with that package and I showed it that you're paying 30 cents a round. I'm losing 20 cents per round with that ammunition, but I'm regaining that in the margins of my own system. And that's a tactic that, I can't recommend it to your company. It might be a stupid move. It all depends on your margins and your structure. But the community took that with such a positive light. The community saw that my company decided to stick our neck out, which quite literally we did. We bought around $100,000 worth of ammunition. It was skids of ammo. I had pictures of me doing a little squat with my one Galil on top of the ammo. It was cool, it was interesting, but I also remember that I stuck my neck out big time to make that happen, and there was no guarantee that that was going to work. And I think that we often trick ourselves into believing that, okay, you'll make that move and it just will pan out. But there is a chance that that would not have worked out. Now, going back to how we provided value over the years, and we built a brand around trust, ethics, good moral values, and doing what we said, that's part of the reason why we were able to do something like that and then help the community out in return. And those are things that I look for all the time, because I obviously would like to, over the course of my life, make more money. We all want to. We want to be able to provide for our families. I would like to pay my team exceptionally well over the years. I'd like to have 1,000 employees that I can just change their lives. I think about my friends that are business owners that have massive entities and how much impact that they can have in their community, and I just want to be able to do that. So this isn't just a, oh, I need to make money thing. This is a, how can I help you guys? How can I pour into you guys? And I know that there's a lot of skepticism when a business owner says that, but just like the old sayings go, I would say, look at the fruits of our labor. Look at what we do for our community. Look at how we pour back into the community, and not just our business, any business you're looking at supporting, audit them and make sure that in times of struggle, when money's the tightest, when our economy appears to be collapsing, when people are scared and running to the banks and banks are shutting down, analyze where you are putting your dollars, because there are companies that are quite literally dismantling your freedom. There are companies that are causing the situations that we see today, and you have to be very careful about who you are supporting. So why do I have precious metals in my hands? Well, I have 1 ounce silver rounds here. These are silver 1 ounce coins that I bought, I don't know, 2012, 2011, 2014, somewhere in that period. I know I paid about $14 an ounce for them. But I'm holding them because this is a very pivotal moment for our country. This is a moment where we see people running to the banks and ultimately trying to pull out all their cash, and banks are folding because there's a run on the banks. We've seen that in multiple occasions over just the last month or so. And so people are looking for relief. People are looking for ways to take their money that is extremely risky, cash, and do something with it. And this podcast isn't about recommending precious metals for you guys. This podcast isn't telling you to go invest a certain way because, quite frankly, guys, I'm not really that qualified to even talk about that. But what I will say is I see a need right now. And what I wanted to talk about on this podcast was just that I am aware of the needs in our community. I am aware of what needs to be done, in my opinion, because we can't stop training. We can't stop talking to our community. We can't stop pouring into our community. This isn't just a firearms thing either. This isn't just a training thing. This is a community thing. This is a how can I better the world around me concept. But I'm holding these precious metals because there's a lot of confusion around it. There's a lot of misconceptions around precious metals. And in general, I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that the dollar is a fiat currency. It's fake. It's not backed by anything but our government. And because of that, it's extremely risky. When you have your entire investment portfolio all backed by cash, people are starting to say, well, I just saw a bank with billions of dollars in deposits and potentially lose all of that for their customers. And I know the federal government's saying, no, it's all going to be backed. It's all going to be backed, and so on and so forth. And that's fine for a bank. But what happens if there's 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 big banks that go down? And these are questions that I start to see people asking themselves every single day now. And I can feel it from the business side. I know if you're a business owner, you're feeling it too. You are feeling that pressure of your customers now heavily debating, does it make sense to purchase this product right now, or should I wait? Should I wait and see what the tides will bring? Should I wait and see if things get better? I definitely don't think that they're going to get better. I don't see that in the forecast anytime soon. I feel like we're going through an awakening in our culture. I want to be a part of that. I want this podcast to be a part of that, but I don't think that it's going to get easy anytime soon. And so that begs the question, from a personal level, what do we do? Well, one thing I wanted to encourage you guys with is when you are faced with a terrifying situation, if you are currently at a job that's at high risk of being lost, or you might be extremely tight with your funds and now inflation has caused you to have to rely on credit cards to pay for groceries and things like that, a reality a lot of people are facing, I would just encourage you to remember that when we react out of fear, we ultimately do what elitists, what these leaders in our government want. We become their slaves. We become indebted to them. We become addicted to their systems. But ultimately, if we can build our own community, we can build systems within that community, we can isolate ourselves from their madness, from their chaotic experiment that we are currently undergoing. And I just want to remind you that when we are on that pursuit of personal excellence, this is a choice. It's a choice that we make. We decide whether or not we're going to let fear dictate how we act. As business owners, we are going to decide if we are going to be crippled and frozen by fear, or whether or not we're going to get creative. We're going to solve problems for people. If you solve problems for people, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying that you're going to be growing even as a business, but solve those problems for your customers. Make sure that you are analyzing the people around you, because everybody around us needs something. And as business owners, I believe it's our responsibility, if possible, if you can do this, and you should do this, pour back into the community that supports you. Because without my customers, I'm just some dude. I'm just some guy that Brenton runs around with and films. If we don't have thousands of customers believing in our mission and supporting us, there's not a whole lot of reason for what we're doing. So remember that. And remember that we have choices that we can make. We are not just blown around in the wind. We're not just tossed around. We're not just going to sway by the whims of others. We are going to forge our path ourselves. We are going to make conscious decisions in our life. I am not going to let officials dictate how I live my life, or what I can do with my business, or where I'm going to go as a man. And you shouldn't either. You should take ownership of your life. You should take ownership of your finances. You should take ownership of your family. It's starting to sound like the 7 Fs, which is one of the driving forces behind the Exodus companies. So closing this podcast out, guys, I wanted to offer you just that little bit of encouragement. You have a choice that you can make. We don't have to live by fear. We can be realistic and understand that we might go through some really hard times ahead, but let's build this community. Let's pour into the people around us. Make sure you have the backs of your community members. And on the topic of these precious metals, there's a reason that I'm holding them. And I don't have all of the details for you guys right now. I can't give you all of the specifics. But what I can tell you is that lesson that I learned in 2020 with the ammunition still rings true to this day. And I have a plan and I have an idea to help the community. And once again, I will be sticking my neck on the chopping block for this. And as I've stated before, guys, there's no guarantee in this. There's never a guarantee in business that your business is going to make it to year 10 or 15 or 20 or 30. There's no guarantee about anything. Life is full of random twists and turns, and we're constantly reacting and pivoting. But I'm going to choose to pivot. And so if you pay attention to the TA Targets page, you pay attention to the TA Targets channel, there's going to be some information released shortly. And honestly, this is probably one of the most exciting things that I've done to date. I'm excited to continue teaching you guys. I'm excited to show you behind the veil a little bit of what I've done as a business owner and how I've had to navigate some treacherous waters, stuff that our nation has never gone through before. And I'm excited to bring you guys along on that journey. So closing out this podcast, guys, I would encourage you, have the backs of the people around you. Build your community strong. Make sure you are paying attention to your family, your friends, your finances, all of the 7 Fs. Make sure you're pouring into each one of them with intentionality. And we will get through it. This nation will continue forward, whether it's in this current form or some other form in the future. But there's still a lot of people that believe in freedom. There's still a lot of people that believe in personal excellence. And our culture is going through a revival that I have never seen before. And that gets me pumped up. Thank you for listening to the Exodus Companies podcast. Our mission is to create a new revival of culture through our podcast, media, and hard goods that we manufacture. We are far more than just a podcast of thoughts. We are creators of tangible goods made here in the United States. If you found value in the podcast episode, we simply ask that you pay it forward. You can do this in several different ways. You can subscribe to our podcast and leave our podcast a rating and review. You can also subscribe to our various YouTube channels. Be sure to follow us on Instagram as well. Our Instagram page is typically private, but we will be making it public for the month of March. That is a great opportunity for friends and families to check out what we are about and to see the message of cultural revival. After March, we will return the page to private to maintain the core group of the Exodus. The last way we will ask for support is by purchasing our products through our various businesses. We know that we are in economic hard times, so it is more important than ever to be putting your money wisely into businesses that are pouring back into the culture. Audit who you support and only support those who will fight for our nation, our rights, our people, and our culture. If you feel like we have done our part and you are blessed with excess, consider supporting us at our brands TA Targets, Arcane Co., Lantern, and of course, here at the Exodus Companies. We have a special code that will work to save you 15% off of most of our products, now available for a very limited time. Use code EXODUS15 at checkout on our sites to save on select products. That code again is EXODUS15 at checkout. We thank you for sharing this podcast and paying it forward. We thank you for doing the legwork and the hard work inside of culture and your community, and we are honored for you to be a part of this cultural exodus.